on them for months, right? So I still firmly believe what we're seeing right now. They have every bit of evidence. I believe there's a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary plan of action, right? So the primary is the courts. It's the simplest, it's the cleanest, it's the longest holding. If they can get it through the courts, through the legal system, and find some uncorrupted judges and get it through that way, it's the cleanest, it's the best way to do that. But if they don't, they have so much evidence that it could be a law enforcement thing, where they could go through 24 subpoenas just got issued in the Hunter Biden laptop case, right? If the Biden family goes to jail, I think it should be a pretty easy thing to convince the people what's going on. But as I was having this conversation last night with my fiance on the way back from the airport, the only problem with that is that we know, even though there are mountains of evidence against Hunter Biden, they have Hunter Biden on a tape that he recorded himself saying that the Biden family was in business with the fucking spy master of China. Right? Like that's his own words, right? Exactly. That's not, nobody had to corrupt that. But we know that despite all that evidence, the media will say it's just proof Trump is turning into a dictator and he's trying to jail his political opponents. We know that. And I had to warn her last night, like, hey, this is only going to get worse. Like, this is going to get really ugly over the next couple of weeks. Because if that primary doesn't work and we can't get it legally done through the court system nice and clean, it's going to fall to law enforcement and prosecution. And we know all this power, all the media, all these people that have been responsible for this fraud are going to do everything they can to brainwash and rile up the other side as much as they can to the point where they're going to try to get them to get violent in the streets. I think the tertiary is the military. This is a national defense issue. We know we have direct evidence China was involved, Iran, Venezuela, and Pakistan. We have evidence that's irrefutable evidence that they were involved. Even Germany, right, with all this stuff that was going into Germany and the CITL service that were taken in Germany. That's a national security issue, right? There's that 2018 EO made this specific foreign interference in elections a very high-level national security issue.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the backup. And there's even one more plan, and that's if they can't get it done through the courts, can't get it done through law enforcement, can't get it done through the military, I still hold firm that there are two men that could issue one sentence, and there would be, at a minimum, 10 to 15 million pissed-off patriots that would take to the streets and go take it into their own hands. And if you research the Battle of Athens, and I'm working on an article on both the Battle of Athens and the Insurrection Act to help people understand what those really are. But we have the constitutional authority. If the elected officials lose the consent of the governed, as American citizens, we have the constitutional authority to go physically rip them out of their offices, tie them down to a railroad tie, and run them out of town. All right, running them out of town on a rail. We can do that. If they lose the consent of the governed, and there are enough of us, and all it would take is one sentence from President Trump or General Flynn. And I guarantee you, 10 to 15 million pissed off American patriots, probably a large percentage of them would be vets, would be willing to drop everything, go to D.C. or their local state, their state capital, and take action into their own hands. Now, I don't think those two men want that to happen. But again, that's our fail-safe beyond fail-safes, because there are so many people in this country that are pissed off to the point that they're just not going to let this happen. And that's the scary part, is I believe they have their own contingency, and I believe there are troops, probably massed south and north of us, that are just waiting for that. And if there is chaos, I am pretty darn sure we will have foreign troops enter our soil and try to come in and take advantage of the chaos.
And
I don't think they know. I don't think they know what would be in store for them, because that'd be a bad day for them.
Yeah. I don't think
Admiral Yami.
There's a reason why they've gone the kind of covert route, right? Because they don't think they understand what 13 million, if not more than that. I think we're up to 20 million guns could do to them.
Yeah. Admiral Yamamoto had it right. Behind every blade of grass there would be a gun, and that's damn skippy.
And not only that did he have right, but he also had it right that he woke up a sleeping giant, because he's got a whole lot of pissed off patriots out here that aren't going to take this. There'll be 10 million people surrounding the White House that will never let Joe Biden step foot anywhere near that White House. I can guarantee you that.
And the thing that bothers me the most is it's fucking lawyers and bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Right? Lawyers. Like, you really want to do this, Adam Weissman? Like, you sure this is the route you want to go? Because you can talk a big game when you're sitting in your office in D.C. and you've got the DOJ behind you. But when chaos erupts and people can do whatever they want under the cover of chaos, if that happens and the color revolution is successful, there's a large number of people that a lot of pissed off patriots have just been waiting for an excuse to go they thought that part through. They'll be like the dog that caught the car. You know, the moment that happens, there'll be a lot of people knocking at their door like the purge, man.
There's a